Congressman Lewis said this is the first inauguration he is skipping since he has been in Congress. But we did the research, and it turns out this is not the first inauguration Congressman Lewis didn't attend. He also refused to attend George W. Bush's inauguration back in 2001. In fact, an article from the Washington Post dated January 21st, 2001 reads, and I'm sharing this with you, John Lewis, for instance, spent Inauguration Day in his Atlantic district. He thought it would be hypocritical to attend Bush's swearing-in because he doesn't believe Bush is the true elected president. How about that for you? Not the true elected president? You see, there's a pattern of behavior. There is a pattern of rhetoric with this gentleman. Joining me right now, former Republican presidential candidate and former governor of Arkansas, Governor Mike Huckabee. Governor, always good to see you. You know, he says one thing, but in reality, if you fact check it, it's something else. And, you know, interestingly, he was saying the same darn line about President Bush as he's saying about President Trump. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's interesting. Hillary Clinton has taken John Lewis to task. I don't know if you've heard what she said, but I want to quote some of it because I think it's very significant. She said that questioning the legitimacy of the election and refusing to accept the results would be horrifying, that it's denigrating our democracy, and that she was appalled by it. She said, that's not the way our democracy works. We've been around 240 years. We've had free and fair elections, and we have accepted the outcomes when we may not have liked them. And that's what must be expected of anyone standing on a debate stage. Oh, by the way, that was not said about John Lewis. That was said about Donald Trump. But I'm wondering, when is Hillary going to give that same speech to John Lewis?
The hypocrisy. Somehow, Governor, it's okay, you know, as long as you're going after the other side, to use words like those that you just read, but not when it's Donald Trump, not when it's a conservative.
It's interesting that not a single Republican skipped the inauguration either time of Barack Obama. People can say what they want to about Republicans, but, you know, when we get beat, we suck it up and say we got beat, and we don't like it, but that's what happens. You have elections, and, you know, I'll tell you something about politics,
right?
Trish.
I mean, isn't this part of our transition process? This is what makes America different from those banana republics down south. I mean, you think of the challenges that, you know, other countries have had. And the one fortunate thing about the United States of America is that we have a peaceful transition process and people recognize the new president.
Well, newsflash to the Democrats who are going to sit it out. It's going to happen anyway. And frankly, I doubt any of them will be missed. It's not like someone is going to say, oh, my goodness, we can't proceed. We're going to have to hold off. We can't bring that Bible up here and have him take the oath because we've got some Democratic congressmen who decided not to show up. It really just doesn't do anything to affect Donald Trump. But, you know, it affects the Democrats. It affects the way they look. It makes them look like poor losers. And frankly, it makes them look like that they just can't accept the realities of our political system, which is we have an orderly transition of power, even when we have to grit our teeth and we don't like the transition of power to someone we didn't vote for. But that's what happens. Politics, by the way, Trish, it's not a sport in which there's a second place prize. There is no red ribbon. Everyone does not get a trophy. And, you know, there is a distinct winner and there is a distinct loser. And having been on the losing side, I can tell you it's not much fun. But the other side of that is, in respect to the system, you stand up there and you recognize that the people vote and you respect their vote.
And you think about what you can do better next time around. I mean, if anything, this is what Representative Lewis should be doing. And Donald Trump, you saw the tweet. We're going to get to it in a second. But he basically said to him, hey, look, you know, you got to work on your problems at hand. You look at the challenges that your district is facing. You look at challenges that inner cities are facing across the United States of America right now. And it's clear that they have not been well represented by the likes of you.
Well, my advice to Donald Trump would be ignore John Lewis and ignore all these Democrats that aren't going to show up because they're not going to affect the outcome of the election, the inauguration, or most likely the administration. Focus on the problems ahead for America. These guys are never going to be happy with his election. They're probably signaling that no matter what a great idea he puts on the table, they're not going to be able to accept it because they're like the kind of person whose personal animosity is such that even if the other person tells an hilarious joke, they can't even laugh at it. But that's not a problem of Donald Trump. That's a problem for John Lewis and some of his Democratic colleagues to have to grapple
Well, it's
with.
sad to see, and I think it's interesting that this is effectively his MO, considering he said the exact same thing last time around. And he did miss Bush's inauguration as well. Governor Huckabee, always good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trish.